All right, class, let's talk about XD. So XD is an Adobe prototyping software that makes it really easy to prototype websites, iPads, and mobile app. So today what I'm going to do is just show you a couple of the features of XD. I start basic and get a little bit more advanced, so hang in there. Let's just start at the interface. So when you're making a new layout, you can decide what you're designing for. So are you designing for an iPhone, an iPad, for web, or a custom size? I picked an iPhone 10. You should pick something that's the phone that you can actually hook up to XD, that you can be user testing throughout the entire process. So, don't pick an X10 if you have a iPhone 5S. It might be a little stretched or discombobulated. So I picked a iPhone 10, and I already designed my first screen just to kind of get us started here. So my app idea is to do a name that font game, thinking about typography for next semester. So here's my first question, and I have a couple things going on here that we're going to have to address. One, I have this X in the upper left-hand corner, so if they want to exit out at any time, this needs to go to a kind of like quit screen. I have this here, and then I have options below, so I need to respond to say which one is correct and which one isn't. And then we want to move on to the next question. So let's get started. So first thing you'll notice here is you have two different modes up at the top. You have design mode and prototype mode. So design mode is exactly what it's going to be. You're going to design your web pages, all about fonts and colors and leading, kerning, layout, all the good stuff. Prototype is going to be connecting them together. So we're going to be linking these pages together to create kind of more interactive spaces. Let's stay in design mode for a second. We should design our boards first. So over on the left-hand side, we have, think about Illustrator, very similar. We have our arrow, how to make a rectangle, a circle, a line, a pen tool, our text tool, multiple artboards, which will come in handy, right? We don't have one screen, and the zoom tool. So first thing we want to think about here is I'm going to make a new screen. So I'm going to go to my artboard tool, and you can see here I can click on this. I can drag over, so I'm holding Option on the keyboard, just like in Illustrator, to make multiple artboards. I can make this artboard longer, so I can pull down and kind of create a scrolling artboard. What this kind of allows is that this could be really long. We could have some kind of timeline or activity feed and just have this continuously scrolling. At the same time, what I could do is have this element fixed for the entire, fixed for the entire portion. So over here, you can see on the right side, I can make something fixed. A lot of mobile apps are going to have a fixed footer and maybe even a fixed header in that case. So let's say I also wanted this to be fixed at the top. I just have this little checkbox, and then I can hit the play button here. Also, you want to download the XD app. So if you download the XD app, then you can sign into your Creative Cloud and have this link so you can be viewing it live on your phone. If you're lazy like me and you don't want to sign into your Creative Cloud account on your phone, you could have to plug it in with a USB port to your computer. So whatever you find easier. For now, I'm just going to hit this play button so I can see my preview here, and that looks fine, but you can also see, let me go to the screen, I can scroll down here, and you can see that we have that scroll. But notice how my buttons at the bottom are fixed, and also my time limit is fixed here at 3. So really easy to do fixed. I'm going to delete that. Fixed items and make a scroll. The nice thing about the scroll is it tells you where the above the fold is pretty easily when you're on the artboard. If you start scrolling down, you can kind of see where that would be. Okay, so now we have fixed elements. We know how to make squares and circles and add type, and that's lines, and that's basically all I did here to create this basic layout. We have our layers at the bottom, so you can see here that we have our artboard, and if we go into that artboard, you can see all the elements that make up this artboard. You can rearrange these layers if need be, right? So if something is behind something else, you can drag and move these up and down. All right, so let's continue. Now let's start getting some more content here. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to make a copy of this. So what I want is to have two screens. So I'm going to make two copies of this exact one. And basically I want if they click Helvetica New, that's correct. And if they click any of the others, it's incorrect. So I'm going to change this one to just have a fill of, so this will be the wrong one. So the wrong one will have a blue background. I can hit this plus button so it adds that so I don't have to keep eyedroppering it. And on this one, I'm going to have it that if they click on the right one, they'll get a nice hot pink color background. Oop, I just want a solid color. And I'm going to add that to my color scheme so I can just reuse it throughout. All right, so we're working those out. If they choose the wrong one, we can do the same time. I'll make this pink so you can just start kind of creating your content. I'll do this real quick. If they choose the wrong one, I'm going to have them get really light, like it's the wrong one. I'd probably go back if I had more time in this tutorial and do, if they got it right, maybe it would have and maybe for both of these have the checkbox, like a check mark kind of by it, and if it had it wrong, maybe do some X's and whatnot. Just to kind of, again, add symbols. So obviously a lot of the times we have symbols. All right, we're done with that line. Where you have symbols that will be really useful in your app design. So I could kind of create this and have it that if they choose the right one or the wrong one. All right, so I have these screens. Now let's say that they hit this button and they want to get out of this completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another artboard. So I can click on any of these artboards, or I can just, if I'm on the artboard tool, I can just click somewhere to make a new artboard, just like Illustrator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an overlay. So I'll show you what that means. So basically, if they hit this X, I just want a pop-up box to come up that says, are you sure you want to quit? So I'm going to give it a blue background, but I'm going to take the opacity down so you can kind of see through it. I'll make another box on top of it. Make sure it's completely center. And I'm going to make some text that says, are you sure you want to quit? This is a question. Put a question mark. I won't spend too much time on this. Put this in the middle. Make sure it's not so light because I can't see it. There we go. And then I would create two buttons for underneath, right? A yes and a no. Make this real quick. There we go. It's not perfect. All right, close enough for now. So we have two buttons. So if they did this one, maybe it'd be yes. And you want to start creating this kind of color scheme that's throughout. So yes, positives being pink, negatives in my case being blue. So we kind of have that theme running. If they get the right answer, it's this, right answer. And then I would put yes and no, obviously, in here. Okay, so this is my overlay type of thing. So we have a couple, we're kind of designing all our screens. Obviously, we want to label this overlay, quiz 1, quiz 1, incorrect, quiz 1, correct. So we kind of see our whole scheme here going through. Now, again, this is kind of a glimpse. I don't have my splash page. I don't have my login page. I don't have my home screen. This is just kind of a glimpse inside the whole process. But now let's just kind of interconnect these together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to prototype mode. So I'm switching modes. And what we can do here is I'm going to start with this one, which I'm going to make my home screen. So the first thing I can do in prototype mode, see this little home button to the left? If I click this, it's going to make sure this is the page that we always start with. So when I hit play, this is our screen. All right, that sounds great. So let's come back here, and now what I want is if I hit Helvetica New, I click on that, see this little arrow, that's correct. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to click on that and drag this arrow over to the correct screen. So I'm going to connect these two together. And it's if they tap it. So you see this, they could drag it or voice it. So voice, think of like Alexa. Drag is like if we had a carousel or some kind of slider. We're going to do tap. So if they tap that, and we're going to transition to the correct answer, and then we can choose our animation. So maybe for a quiz, I would want to do like slide to the right. And then I save that. Then what I'm going to do is for these three answers, I'm going to hold shift so I can select all of them. Oops. Yep, and you can't hold shift. Too easy, right? So I'm going to come over, I'm going to drag one at a time over here to the incorrect answer. And maybe you want this to slide to the left. So left being bad, right being sure. I don't know. I'm just deciding. Where was I here? I wanted to do Ariel. So this is going to come over to this guy. And then same with Verdana. Okay. So now, and then let's do the last one. So then we'll test this all out so everything kind of works together. So then if I click this X, I want it to go to this screen over here, but I want it to be an overlay. So I'm going to choose the action. I might still have a tap, but the action is going to be an overlay. And it's going to overlay this, and I don't want it to slide. I'm just going to have it dissolve. So it kind of just dissolves on top. And then I'm going to do the same thing for each one of these. So it's important for the consistency. And it kind of remembers, thankfully. Okay, let's go. So let's play this up. So we have our font. I'm going to get it right. Oh no, our right, it's not linked. Let's go back. Nope, it's not linked. Come over here to this, and this shouldn't be overlay. It should be transition and slide right. There we go. Try it again. So now when I click, it slides and it says Helvetica New. If I hit the X, it has this overlay. Notice how it just overlays over the current screen, and if I click off of it, it goes back. So I could set these up. But what's nice is we can overlay over it, or we can interconnect all our pages together. So I can see I also forgot this one. And interconnect all of them together. So from this then, I could start building out my other pages, but I wanted to show you today how, one, you could do transitions, custom transitions, as well as the overlay. Finally, I'm ready to save this and kind of send it to my professor. So what I could do here is if I go to share at the top right, I can go to share for review, the second one down. I wouldn't require a password, and this is going to create a link that then, a URL that you can upload to D2L or send to whoever wants to take a look at it as a link that anyone can kind of participate in. All right, I hope this short but sweet XD tutorial has helped.